I think Florida's looked like Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Michigan at a 57% chance right now, followed by Arizona, Duke, and Houston. Here's the interesting caveat, Joe, for Michigan, who's the favorite right now. On February the 8th at 5 a.m., they were trading at 40%. Today, 57%. People like themselves some Michigan here.
Well, Donnie, exactly, because Michigan, it just vaulted themselves to number one in the AP poll.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get the party started. It's a Thursday right here on the early line. This is the Sports Grid Network. I'm Donnie Rightside, and he's Joe Ranieri. We got you covered for all the hottest topics over the next 2 hours, predictive markets, and also, more importantly, what's happening in the WBC. We're in pool play already. A game is live right now with Korea and Czechia, with Korea up 8-3 in the bottom of the sixth inning. Then Austria and also Czechia a little bit later on tonight as well. Crazy stuff going on, but these are the topics that you need to know, which includes, Joe, maybe a guy getting his 9th speeding ticket since 2017, being the best defensive end in the NFL. Never a good sign, but Joe, that's the information we keep you up to topic on, and also includes tonight's NBA and college basketball slate. Joe, it's time to get busy. I know you're ready.
I am ready, Donnie. You got to love little World Baseball Classic action underway. But, man, we still got plenty of college basketball to get through, too, as some of these conference tournaments here at the mid-major level are getting real interesting.
Now, by the way, hot topics coming up here. We're going to get you ready to go. But why does Czechia have a game playing right now and a game a little bit later tonight? They're trying to are we having double headers, Joe, on the same day, stretching out those pitching staffs? I'll get to the bottom of that and much more here. But it's time to get caffeinated with the hottest topic of the day. Joe, deliver it for us, please.
Well, Donnie, you're going to like this one because you and I absolutely love baseball. And as handicappers, you already know that the secret to success is finding the edges, right? Finding the value and finding markets that aren't as tight as the NFL. And, well, for the last few years, I've noticed a big change, Donnie. And the big gold mine rush for professional handicappers has been college baseball. And if you are sick and tired, like we are, of watching millionaire professionals in the NBA sit out for load management, or entire franchises actively trying to lose games just to improve their draft stock, college baseball might just be your perfect alternative, because every single one of those players on that diamond is playing with intensity for the love of the game, Donnie, and a shot at the next level. But there is one massive problem. Good luck actually trying to watch these damn games that you might be interested in. We're living in the golden age of talent, Donnie. We just watched Paul Skeens go from LSU to a dominant force and Cy Young winner in Major League Baseball with the Pirates in record time. I remember hearing and getting a chance to watch Nolan McLean pitch for my Oklahoma State Cowboys before the Mets called him up. And seeing, by the way, Donnie, those stands were packed every single game he pitched. They both pitched. People want to see these guys. You got a kid in Vance Honeycutt with the Orioles right now. The kid has got 4 home runs in his first 4 spring training at-bats. I don't think anybody even realizes that that's exactly what he was doing at North Carolina. Because the games, Donnie, are buried on streaming services that nobody can find. It's mind-blowing how out of touch the networks are. The number 1 draft pick that is going to be shortly in Major League Baseball is a kid by the name of Rock Chalowski at UCLA. He is going to be the number 1 pick in the 2026 Major League Baseball draft. If he were a point guard at Duke, he'd be on national television every Tuesday night. But at UCLA, only 4 of their 54 games are on national television. The rest are stuck on ridiculous streaming networks that nobody can even find. And don't get me started on the promotion of the sport, because nobody does a worse job of it yet. We just watched UCLA play TCU on FS1. And do you know how many people watched that game, Donnie? Over 75,000. Do you know how many people watched a meaningless Yankees-Mets spring training game? Just under 200,000. So the blue pen is there. The stands are packed. The fans are excited. Look at what Zion did for Duke, right? And the NBA. ESPN put him on the map in college. 4.5 million people watched the NBA draft lottery just to see where he would go. Major League Baseball has the same opportunity. The College World Series averages 2.5 million viewers last year. People are packing the stands to the tune of 22,000 fans for early season tournaments. Yet, can't watch it, Donnie. It's nowhere to be found. You want to grow the game of baseball, you have to showcase the stars. And these kids who are reaching Major League Baseball faster than ever before, well, we should know who they are beforehand, Donnie. That's right. They should be a household name before they even walk across that stage. So this morning, Donnie, if you are fed up like we are with tanking and NBA load management, do us a favor, networks. Promote the game of baseball and the future stars of the game, because I guarantee you, Donnie, more people would gravitate towards that like they are in the betting markets than a random Thursday night NBA drubbing of the Utah Jazz.
Great point you bring up, too. And understand this, ESPN loves the SEC. The SEC has some of the best baseball in the country. Ever been down to Louisiana, LSU, the box on a weekend? That's where they talk about the big pitchers, the frontline guys go, and it's a packed environment, and it's exciting here. ESPN just lost Major League Baseball coverage. Now's the perfect time, Joe. How about a Sunday night college baseball between 2 top 20 teams? People will tune in for that, and people will wager on that. Great stuff, Joe, as we started out on a Thursday here. Let's get to the early lineup, some other hot topics across the business as we watch it go. Stephon Diggs, he's going to find his 4th team in 4 years. That's not a team problem. That's a me problem, Stephon Diggs. They used him just to try to win a Super Bowl. All those legalities piling up, and they said, you know what? You're talented. You're just not worth the headache. He's gone.
You're not worth the $26 million to the cap hit that you would cost if you were still on the team here. So, yeah, it kind of felt that way. Could there be a reunion in Buffalo, Donnie, when it's all said and done? Interesting stuff there, but definitely not worth the $26.5 million to New England.
One team tells you, Joe, every year, blank them draft picks. You know what that is? That's the Los Angeles Rams. They just traded a late first round to get one of the best young cornerbacks in football who does want a payday. But the Rams are like, we got Stan Kroenke as an owner. We'll pay whatever you want here. Come on over, kid. This is a team that expected to get to the Super Bowl last year. Didn't get there. Upset with it. Now stacking up on that defensive side of football. Stafford comes back. McVay comes back. And away they go. The favorites probably now in the NFC.
Well, listen, and the one thing they needed help in, and the one thing they needed to address, Donnie, we knew this with the Rams, was that secondary that got absolutely smoked all season long, and it was a big reason as to why they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. And Kansas City got to get a little younger, right? So being able to pile up some draft picks, I think it's a win-win spot here, Donnie, for both teams.
We could probably spend the rest of this segment talking about this topic, Joe. Aaron Rodgers loves the fact McCarthy is in Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers loves Pittsburgh. Then Aaron Rodgers is going to tell you in the same interview, hey, you know what? I really don't know what I'm going to do next year. Some guys just love the spotlight. And you know what? On the Kalshi Poly Market ads here, Can we please just put that up? Aaron Rodgers 100% is coming back. He just wants the spotlight and wants you to ask him questions about it.
Yeah, nailed it, Donnie. The one thing Aaron Rodgers loves more than anything else is the spotlight, right? In the headlines. That's what nobody does it better than Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, folks.
Lou Holtz passes away at age 89. In the 80s, I hated Notre Dame, and I hated Lou Holtz. But you had to respect the man. What he did, saved Notre Dame from the abyss and brought them a national championship here. We'll always remember Lou Holtz, man. Good guy in college football.
Catholics versus the convicts. I mean, one of the all-time greatest rivalries there in all of college sports. Lou Holtz was great. Also loved him as a commentator, too. I thought he was great, too, there when he was on TV.
Loved it. By the way, Notre Dame was always in the early 1980s. Hey, we are a academic institution. He goes, I'll come coach your school. You give me 5 players that can't get in. And they go, okay, we'll bend the rules. Yeah, you bent the rules and you won a national championship. Lou Holtz bringing Notre Dame football back in the 80s. Love to see it here. How about the NCAA women's basketball conference tournaments here? Brawls across the board, Joe. Referees getting knocked out cold.
It's what I guess women's, that's what the WNBA showed us, right? It's the WWE on a basketball court. And I guess it's trickling down, Donnie, isn't it?
Yeah, we got a video from Rory McIlroy that we are going to save here. But how about this? Speaking about John Rahm and the DP World drama here, we just can't get it right now, Joe, in professional golf.
No, we can't. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
It's not going to get better anytime soon, but you know it is. Spreadlines coming up next, the hottest games of the night that you need to know about. Joe Ranieri and Donnie Right Side in the morning, the way it's supposed to be, right here on the SportsGrid Network.
Tanking is hurting the NBA right now too, and what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
I actually, and I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
It's the early line right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's Joe and Donnie in the morning. Time to get you those spread lines that you need to know for a Thursday. And we start, Joe, in the Big Ten. Michigan takes on Iowa at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Look at this line overnight. Sat at -9.5 and still sits at just about every outlet, Joe, now at 9.5. You see that graphic there at 8.5. A little bit of dip in the market here, possibly coming back up. 145.5 as the total. The one thing we know about Michigan, according to Ken Palm, number 2 overall in his rating system, but also understand this, number 1 in conference play inside the arc, shooting at 61%, going up against Iowa's defense, who's 16th out of 18 teams at defending inside the arc. Close to a double-digit favorite for Michigan tonight on the road. Joe, what's your spread line for this one tonight?
Well, keep in mind what is on deck here for Michigan. I'll start with that, Donnie. And what's on deck for them is Michigan State for Senior Day. So this is going to go, I think, Donnie, one of two ways. This is either going to be Michigan just laughing as they run up and down the court and drop 90 points and beat the snot out of Iowa, or it's going to be Iowa who does the unthinkable like their football team and punts 17 times and manages to win a game 13-12. I tend to think it's going to be the first one there, Donnie. I tend to think Michigan is going to handle their business. They're a much better team than Iowa. Decent season for Iowa, but this is a heavyweight fighting a middleweight in this one. I'm kind of shocked, Donnie, and I think the only reason it's not double digits is simply because, who's on deck and what's coming up for Michigan on Saturday.
Keep it in the college basketball
Sunday,
here.
rather.
I'm going to let Sunday action, man. And by the way, last day of the regular season here for the major conferences here. Next week, we start conference play. And also the following weekend, boom, Selection Sunday. Joe, South Florida's going to play Memphis tonight. If I would tell the people out here, one team is on a 7-game winning streak, one team is on a 6-game losing streak, of course, South Florida's a team on the losing streak, and Memphis is really good. Not the case. Penny Hardaway, what's going on? South Florida invades Memphis tonight as a 6.5-point favorite with a total of 159.5. South Florida's defense, number 1 overall in conference play for efficiency, and also South Florida's offense, number 2 overall in efficiency here. Something has to give, but Memphis, what happened, Joe? What's your spread line here?
No, they're just a hot mess. And this is the final home game for Memphis, right? So is this the Penny Hardaway final home game as the head coach of Memphis? That could very well be what we're going to see here tonight. But offensively, these two teams are in two different worlds. South Florida will have no problem scoring on Memphis. Memphis has had a lot of injuries. They've had roster attrition here. They've had guys thrown off the team. This season can't get over fast enough for Penny Hardaway and Memphis. South Florida should have no problem handling business here tonight. But the big question is, with another big loss, which could be for Penny Hardaway, does he survive that? Is he back next year as the head coach of Memphis? Well, no. I think this game's going to go a long way into deciding that.
Some bangers in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons on the road to take on the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama going toe-to-toe. Maybe a little Cade Cunningham action. The favorites in this game tonight, that's the San Antonio Spurs at home, -3.5, a total of 228.5 tonight. Big game, 8 o'clock, prime time in the NBA, Joe. What's that spread line for you today?
It feels like the Spurs are always on the road, aren't they? The fact that they're home here is a little bit crazy. But, I mean, my goodness, they've won 12 of their last 13, and only 5 of those games were at home since February 1st here, Donnie. So this is a San Antonio Spurs team that can win in your building, can win in their building. It's going to be nice to sleep in their bed, I'm sure, here. But another big test here for the Detroit Pistons. If you're as good as you think you are, as good as your record says you are, then you need to go on the road and win one of these games. Because you know who has, Donnie? San Antonio has. So this is a big opportunity here with the Pistons actually getting points for the first time, it feels like, in forever against the Spurs.
Lakers on the road to take on the Denver Nuggets tonight in elevation. That game's going to start at 10 o'clock Eastern here. Opening line at -5. Most outlets say now still at -5 and -5.5. But look at this total, 241.5. Lakers on the road as a dog price here versus the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference, Joe. What's your spread line on this one?
I got to tell you, the Nuggets are going the wrong way, man. It's head-scratching, Donnie. I mean, who would have thunk it that Aaron Gordon means that much to this team? Well, the Lakers now find themselves in that 6th seed in the Western Conference playoff race. They're only a half a game behind Denver right now. And who would have thunk that those two teams were even in the same category? But, that's what they do. So the Lakers have a big opportunity here tonight to get it going. And again, they keep teasing that Aaron Gordon might be back. We know Peyton Watson has been out for over a month as well. There is a chance Aaron Gordon could return for tomorrow night's game against the Knicks. It'll be a second of a back-to-back, though, but the Lakers got to win a game against the team with a pulse. The Nuggets have a pulse, and I have my doubts that they can win this game.
Yeah, sure. Again, interesting one here as it sets up, but we are waiting for these teams to get whole. Even taking a look like the Philadelphia 76ers, hanging on the win last night barely, but they're without Joel Embiid, they're without Paul George. A lot of these teams are going to look a lot different once we get to playoff time and start to ramp up. The Toronto Raptors on the road to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. -7s in the marketplace overnight, Joe, but now we're seeing a shift here towards the Toronto Raptors. -6s and -5.5s now starting to show up. A total of 227.5. Raptors and the Wolves tonight, Joe. What's your spread line for this one?
Well, they've been on a roll here, Minnesota. Not necessarily against the spread, Donnie, but they haven't lost, I think, since February 22nd, and that was against your Sixers team. This will be a 5th straight win for them, and Anthony Edwards really starting to, downshift here. I think coming off that 41-point performance against Memphis on Tuesday night, his 9th game this year with at least 40 points. Listen, the Raptors have been way too inconsistent here. They look really good for a half, and then they disappear, and that's not a good thing here against a Minnesota Timberwolves team, where as long as they're not laying, Donnie, let's say 7-8 points, I think you can trust Minnesota to win and cover this game at home tonight.
By the way, we don't have to cover this game. We don't have to go over it, but sometimes the NBA just gives you some of those gems, Joe. The first game of the night, 7 o'clock start, the Utah Jazz on the road on a back-to-back to take on the Washington Wizards. Neither one of these teams wants to win this basketball game, and yet the Wizards are still a 2 to 2.5 point favorite. Amazing how that shaped up. 9 games in the association tonight. We're going to talk some college next. Stay tuned.
Tanking is hurting the NBA right now too, and what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here, I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
College basketball action heating up. Why? Only a few days left. We should just call it a few hours left in the regular season for college basketball. Conference tournaments for the big boys fired up next weekend. A lot of these games already going on now in some of the smaller conferences. But the one team that continues to get national headlines and seems a little polarizing is Miami of Ohio. They're undefeated. And tomorrow we will spend a pretty good chunk of a segment talking about their final game against Ohio on the road tomorrow to complete that perfect regular season. But it is true. You look at their schedule, Joe, it's not all that daunting at this point. But, Joe, you've talked about it a few times on the show. It's not as if Michigan, Indiana, Miami, Texas are picking up the phone saying, you know, I have to play a decent mid-level team from the MAC conference, because if we beat them, it doesn't mean anything, but if they beat them, it's good for them, and it embarrasses our franchise and the way we go here. Miami has not played a quad one game just yet, but I don't necessarily blame them for that. It's not probably like they were ducking teams. It's that those mid-majors don't get chances anymore to play some of those upper-level teams.
Well, no, Donnie, actually it's the opposite, because when they were trying to schedule non-conference games and tournaments early on in the season this year, they called no less than 5 Power 5 teams. And you know what they said? No, thanks. We're good to go. And why? Well, nobody wanted a piece of them because they were one of the very few mid-major programs that returned just about everybody on this roster. You're talking about a team, Donnie, they were very good last year too, and they returned everybody. But when they were trying to set the schedule for this year, the non-conference games, every time they picked up the phone and called a team that would have given them a quad one win, you know what? They hung the phone up on them. So it wasn't like they didn't try, but all you can do is take on the people who are on your schedule, and I don't care who you are. You win 31 games, Donnie. I don't care if they're quad 1, 2, or 3. You win 31 straight, you're in my book.
Yeah, we can get them in here. It's good for the tournament. And if we always, hey, Blue Bloods get ratings. No, you know what gets ratings here? Well, I want to see how the team that's undefeated in the regular season actually meets some real competition. If they win the game, fantastic. If they lose it, fantastic as well, because people will watch and talk about it here. Now, here's where we get to the juicy arguments, Joe. Is in the past, it was like, hey, why is that guy in sweatpants? I didn't know he was injured. Now the NCAA is like, yeah, we're in bed with gambling. We're going to help those gamblers out. Why? We're going to make sure that we have processes here for March Madness player availability reports. So you don't go and bet Kentucky and their star player goes, had a migraine today. Nobody knew about it, but I'm sitting this one out.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? The great big secret, Donnie. And football's even worse. They should do this in college football more than anything else, because that trying to get information about who's going, who's healthy, who's not is brutal here. College basketball, yeah, is Darren Peterson playing? Is he not playing, Donnie? How many times have we said that on this show this year? And we have to wait until actual shoot around, and then we still don't know whether or not he's going to show up. So it's nice to see at least the NCAA stepping in to do something that makes sense.
I can't tell you the amount of games I spent watching on those Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the MAC conference during midweek action, where it was MACtion, and they're like, okay, I bet on a game, like, okay, this quarterback should be pretty good tonight, warms up, and then comes out in sweatpants because he was actually suspended for the game, but they didn't want the other team to know, which includes the people in calling the game and also watching at home. I do like this step in the right direction here. We'll see if it works. Mick Cronin's at it again. By the way, UCLA playing some good basketball as of late. But he's floating the idea of bird rights for allowing schools to exceed the revenue share cap to retain their own players. What are we doing here? It's like in the NFL. Hey, why don't you just let the good teams pay all their players more amounts of money so they can't leave in free agency and we have a dynasty? Stop, Mick. Come on. Stop it, Mick.
Yeah, he's also complaining that, the game he won the other night was apparently it started too late, right? Like, he was all upset there that the kid's got to go to class. He is not happy, Donnie, unless he is complaining about something. And it doesn't make a difference. It's either some grandiose idea or the refs or the time or the travel. It's unbelievable. But you know what? As long as you keep winning games, UCLA, well, Mick Cronin will be your guy. But, let's not build dynasties. How's that work out, Mick?
Hey, sometimes we talk about, Joe, and it's like, man, why didn't my dad own the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Jets, or the Miami Dolphins? And by the time I turned 35 years old, he just gave the team to me. Well, not on this level, but check out Bruce Pearl talking about Auburn and his son Steven and sitting on the NCAA tournament here. Am I rooting for my son to make the NCAA tournament? Of course I am. Did I help my son get the Auburn job? Of course I did. Oh, we're just outing ourselves now, Joe, aren't we?
That's nepotism at its finest. But wasn't he supposed to run for Congress or Senate or something? I mean, like, why did he leave the job to begin with? I don't. So he can make fun of Miami of Ohio, apparently.
I mean, have another cookout, get in NCAA trouble, do something, Bruce, something out there. We'll be right back. More hot topics on the way.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
By the way, in this segment, we're going to talk a lot about the WBC, and we've talked about it ad nauseum for months, but it's finally here, and they're actually playing in pool play. But before we get there, other news and notes here and topics from Major League Baseball, which includes Chris Sale. He's talking about his teammate, well, I guess you can call him a teammate, who's not going to be this year, Jurickson Profar.
What was your reaction to the news about the suspension?
It was tough. I think, obviously, this time of year, we're all getting kind of prepared for the season, and there's a lot of stuff we got to do to get prepared, and not good news, not what you want to hear.
Last year, you guys kind of had to bite your tongue, and you're knowing he's coming back. At this point in time, are the emotions a little bit different? With this being twice.
I think the main thing right now for this clubhouse is just really to focus on what we can control, and focus on the important things. No matter what happens, no matter whether it's a situation like this, or an injury, or.
What do you want him to say at this point now? I hate that guy, throw him out of here, not going to happen. But, Joe, you know what I took out of that interview there? Braves have a beautiful uniform and a bright yellow patch on their right sleeve because they just want to have some more money in their pocket. Tough scene down there, huh?
I mean, like, we're making this guy out like he's Ohtani. Like, who cares? He wasn't anything prior outside. I mean, unless he, needled himself up here, and they'll be just fine without him. They're not going to be any better or any worse by not having him there. So I'm with Chris. Big deal. We control what we can control. And the bigger issue for them has nothing to do with Profar. It has to do with, can you get some guys healthy From what I hear, Strider's only throwing 90 miles an hour, and that's not a good thing, Donnie.
Ooh, that's not a good thing at that point. That's one of the better power pitchers in baseball before the injuries here. See if he can return back to form. But the one thing I will say, Joe, on the national stage, let's say global stage, Team USA men's basketball at the Olympics, when the superstars go, it's fantastic theater. We just watched the Olympic hockey finals finish up there with Canada and the United States. It was sensational here. I wonder if we get the same vibes, because previously in the WBC, the Americans were like, yeah, we'll send some good players. We'll see what happens here. But that's not the case anymore. Front Office Sports points out here, Joe, 78 Major League Baseball All-Stars are taking part in the WBC. It feels like we're going to rise this up a level, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, listen, we saw a game the other night, I think, that had total excitement, before the group play action and what's going on here. I think the levels ratcheted up because of the investment by the superstars in Major League Baseball here, and ride that momentum into the season, man. Take every opportunity you have to take center stage over the NBA, the NHL, college basketball, Donnie, this time of year. There should be no reason we don't go into opening day and a lot of teams and a lot of fans really pumped up about what just happened with the WBC there.
I'll tell you who's not pumped up about the WBC. It's Tarek Skubal. Well, give me 3 or 4 innings. Get me the hell out of here so I don't have to be around these boys anymore at this point here. See if his attitude changes just a little bit. But by the way, Team USA is doing some work out here, albeit against bad franchises that maybe don't have their starters playing. 14-4, another tune-up here as Team USA knocks off the Colorado Rockies, Joe. How about that?
Yeah, rather easily at that fact. So, yeah, and listen, you keep scoring runs like that, you keep hitting, and that lineup is stacked, Donnie. We know it. It doesn't matter, Skubal. It doesn't matter who's pitching. You can throw Yarbrough out there for 9 times. It doesn't matter. You're not going to catch them because of the bats that they have there. But, hey, listen, I'm glad to see they're at least taking it serious enough, at least the majority of them. And they look like they're actually having fun out there, too, Donnie, which is also great.
And by the way, Colorado Rockies fans, you see that score 14-4? Get used to that this year as well here. We'll see if he can even get to close to 60 wins this year with a terrible roster there. Double-digit loss yesterday to Team USA. We'll keep it moving here, Joe. We do have pool games starting and playing live as we are right now. A, B, C, and D here. If we take a look at some of the odds for those teams to win, in Pool A, it's Puerto Rico, Joe. -110 as a favorite here, followed by Canada, Colombia, Cuba, and Panama. And by the way, Team Canada knocked off the Phillies B-list team yesterday here, tuning up here. Could they be a chance to, or excuse me, should I say, does Canada have a chance to knock off Puerto Rico? Slight favorite, though, for PR.
Yeah, why not? They should be, right, Donnie? When you think about it here, there's no reason for them not to be at least the small favorite here, but you still got to get the job done. I know some guys, though, talked to some of the guys in the risk room, and Canada out of this group has been sneakily being bet a lot. They were saying, so could that be a bit of a slight upset coming out of group play?
It's funny. You take a look at some of these opportunities to invest, let's just say, in Pool B. USA is -650. That's too high. I'm not going to take that. Mexico +600. Italy 18-1. You get the point here. But this is the reason why, hey, I'm going to invest in Bitcoin and buy 1/20th of a Bitcoin, and it goes up $75 that day. You really didn't make any money. But rich people will say, well, I'll buy 17 Bitcoin today, and it goes up $75. I made myself some money. Joe, I can't see Team USA losing in pool play. I think they're going to advance, and the question is, can they win the thing? That's a whole nother thing. -650 price seems like a bargain, but for us, common folk, $650 to win 100 doesn't seem like a ton, but it might be free money, and it's coming to you fast.
Yeah, but that at a group play, Donnie, let's face it. I mean, they are the overall favorite for a reason, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to get bounced out in group play. It would be that would be absolutely
Television
horrific for me. That would just not be good. So yes, I mean they're going to play 4 games in pool play here, Donnie, and I mean Mexico, Italy. Although I'll tell you this, Mexico and Italy have a pretty good amount of Major League Baseball and former MLB players, so it'll be competitive. It's not going to be like what you just saw against a real Major League Baseball team in the Colorado Rockies. They might be a little bit more competitive, Donnie, but I don't see them losing and going down.
Might have some changes in odds. Why? Because we have pool play already underway here. In Pool C, Joe, Japan, minus 450, Korea, plus 800, Chinese Taipei, plus 950, with right now the Republic of Korea up 11-3 in the 7th inning here in the World Baseball Classic. So live action here, Japan is the favorite.
Yeah, Japan is the and Chelsea, it's hysterical, Donnie. The guys on this team are like all semi-pro, like beer league guys that have day jobs, it's actually pretty funny. But you know what? Sometimes those guys, if you're not careful, they could sneak up on you here. So I think some of these pool plays are going to be very interesting to see how it works out, because some of them have great stories. They really do.
No, specifically, Joe, in Pool D here, you got the Dominican Republic at minus 210 price, but Venezuela right behind them at a plus 170. And if you've seen any of the crowds for any one of these tune-up games here, those atmospheres will be absolutely electric once we get underway in Pool D play here. Then the Netherlands, Nicaragua, and Israel round out at 50-1.
Yeah, this looks like... let's face it, this looks like a pretty chalky pool as well there, Donnie, right? I mean, they should be able to run away with it. The Dominican, based upon the guys that they have, not only in that lineup, but don't forget, they got a pretty good pitching staff going on there, too, with Alcantara and Bayo and Doval. They got some guys that can throw, too. So a lot of people like them to win it all, Donnie, and I can't argue with it, with that firepower they got coming.
We do have some odds movement here, at least from FanDuel. Team USA is minus 110 to win the WBC, but it used to be Japan following the U.S., but now catching a lot more of that excitement here, and we've heard their name being thrown around a lot. The Dominican Republic now, Joe, sitting at a plus 360 price, followed by Japan now a plus 380 price. So we do have some odds changing here, even before some of these teams actually get onto the playing field themselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at some of these lineups and these pitching staffs, Donnie, it's kind of hard not to go, you know what, maybe a little less chalk. I think you're going to see some odds movement, certainly in the predictive markets. I think you're going to see a lot after today.
Team USA gets underway, Joe, on Saturday. Tarek Skubal is going to take the mound against Great Britain. Should be an easy victory. In a way, Team USA goes into WBC. Hot topics that keep on flowing through. Basketball coverage next. We got you covered.
Nick Kurtz will receive American League first place votes this year. You gonna buy that, George? Or you want to sell that? I believe we had Caminero, we had Raleigh, we had Aaron Judge,
Bobby Witt. He'll be there as well. I'm a big fan of Kurtz. No, we're not related, by the way, for those who are wondering. Okay, not as far as I know. I keep getting that.
You're a little taller than him.
Right, just a wee bit. Yeah, Nick is a.
Be like this, actually.
I'm not sure Nick would fill in his room. Yeah, that's something like that. But my only problem with him, I think he's gonna have a great year. All right, I think he's gonna have a very good year here. He's gonna be fantastic. I picked 12 in my points league. If he's there at 12, I'm taking him. I'm just grabbing him here. I don't have a second round pick, but I'm taking him anyway. My only issue is this: they're not gonna be very good, right? They may be a little better than expected. Maybe they approach 500, maybe. But it's tough to get MVP votes when you're not winning. All right, you're not in the playoff contention or anything like that. Are you going to be able to beat out an Aaron Judge? I'll buy. I think he's going to have a big season. I think he can get one. I don't think he'll be very, it won't be top 3 or anything. But I think he can get one. Yes, I'll buy.
Yeah, I'm going to sell this. I was really I understand what the metrics said, and a lot of smart people, George, that I asked told me that Judge probably was the MVP. But man, Cal Raleigh couldn't win MVP with that season that he had last year. And I understand all we're doing is asking questions about first place votes, but don't think there's a lot of love for the voters with Sacramento, no matter what Nick Kurtz does. I'm going to sell this.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Draft is going to be sensational this year. From college basketball kids coming into the pros, a lot of sensational freshmen, and away we go. Got some video here on Sean Miller talking about Darius Acuff and why he should be the number 1 overall pick.
Usually a guy like Acuff gets, too much credit or too much respect as a young player in college basketball. That can happen sometimes when a guy is that highly touted and certainly has this bright future beyond college like he does. But in my time, and I'll just go 34 years, I've never seen a point guard better. And when people talk about, who's going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft or who's the best player in the conference, I mean, just for perspective, and I think our conference is great. He's a textbook prime example of that. I just have never been on a court where one player at that position is any better than he is. Greatness is how I would describe his game, and seems like an amazing young man. And, just to watch. But guys like him, they just don't come into college basketball very, very often. I mean, he's a generational player. He's really, really good. And this number 1 pick thing, like, I don't know why people aren't talking about him more. I can't imagine anybody better.
Incredible stuff, too. 20-point win last night at Bud Walton for Arkansas over Texas. Joe, and Acuff, 28-13 last night. Impressive.
I mean, listen, for Sean Miller, who's been around, right? For him to heap that kind of praise as the Texas Longhorns head coach, that's impressive stuff here. And the kid has been nothing short of amazing. And again, Donnie, we have said it. We've been saying it all season long. There is a reason why so many teams, it's a battle of tanking in the NBA right now. This freshman class is loaded, Donnie, with guys that are actually game changers. Usually it's just 2 or 3 dudes, maybe really 1 up at the top. No, like, you've got the top 10 picks right now coming up in the NBA draft. Every one of those picks are guys that could actually be the face of a franchise here in the near future.
Absolutely. How about this interesting story from the NBA? Victor Wembanyama's friend found safe in Chicago after missing a flight home to France. He actually reached out and was tagging some Chicago sports personalities to help him try to find his friend. But it looks like he was found safe here. My goodness. What's up with that story?
You missed a flight to France? Like, what, were you late to the airport? Like, how does that...
What did he do, walk around the city? What was he doing?
Where'd he go? I mean, that's a big airport, O'Hare. So maybe he was just hanging out there. And listen, I've been known to hang out at an airport bar, Donnie, after a flight, gets delayed or something. And maybe he just lost track of time.
What was the movie with Tom Hanks where he was in the airport for like years because he didn't have a home country at that point? He was just learning how to eat cheeseburgers and hang out with the people there.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully he didn't get stuck. He's safe. And he can move on here with his life. And Wemby, a little relief here. He doesn't have to worry. Wemby's got a big game tonight. Can't be worried about where his friends are at this point. Thank goodness that they are found safe here. Chauncey Billups, looks like in November, Joe, they are headed to trial here. Get those lawyer fees. The one thing we know about this trial, Joe, the lawyers will be paid.
The lawyers will be paid. It'll be interesting, though, because November, Donnie, will be the start of next season, right? So... I'm wondering if there's a plea deal that happens somewhere along those lines. I think a lot can happen between now and the start of the NBA season next year with this. But at least it's on the docket, Donnie, and I can't wait for discovery myself.
How about this discovery? If you would have told me last year, okay, what happened in the ping pong balls and they came out to who? Dallas? They're going to take Cooper Flagg? Oh, by the way, here's a little cheat code. Next year, the Rookie of the Year is going to be a kid from Duke. Easy peasy. It's Cooper Flagg. Not so fast, people. Have you checked out the year Con Knippel's having? And also now, Rookie of the Year odds. The favorite, it's not Cooper Flagg. -170, Con Knippel, Joe. Can you believe it?
I absolutely can, because the kid was what I can't believe is how, Duke didn't run the table last year with these guys. But let's say it. I mean, that just goes to show you how good Florida was last year in doing so. But I mean, what else can you say about this kid? I mean, they went into Boston last night. He drops 20 points, 4 boards. He did not have a good game the night prior against Dallas, by the way. But my goodness, he bounced back in a big way last night against the Celtics. 118-89.
Yep.
That's their sixth straight. And now they're above 500, Donnie. Think about where this team was January 1 and where they are right now. It's unbelievable.
We always talk about the ultimate equalizers, the three-point shot. They shoot a lot of three-point shots, and if they get hot, maybe there's nothing you can do about it. Fun team if they make the playoffs. See if we can catch them here. Good teams win. Great teams cover, Joe. 103-100. That's OKC. They won last night, but the New York Knicks covered the 3.5 to 4.5, depending where you're shopping at around game time here. The Thunder won the fourth quarter by 6 points, enough to give them the lead here, 103-100 in a victory in the Garden.
Yeah, and it just felt like the Knicks were chasing them all night long, Donnie, in that game where, all of a sudden OKC would be able to pull away a little bit. Then the Knicks would come back. But again, it was a 17-point second quarter that did the Knicks in. Like, how are you only scoring 17 points? You dropped 40 in the third. You dropped, another 20 in the. You gotta be able to keep pace, and you can't fall behind the Oklahoma City Thunder like that because basically they just suffocated them after that.
Lose a game, get upset. The MVP previously are looking for a second MVP. Mike Brown talking about that MVP who is SGA. Quote, does a great job of convincing the referees he's getting hit. Ooh, sounds like sour milk right there, Joe.
Yeah, well, can we say the same thing with, James Harden and a whole lot of other guys prior? I mean, it's not unique, but the interesting part is that the refs keep falling for it, don't they? So you know how you stop that, Donnie? Is all of a sudden the whistles don't blow anymore, and then all of a sudden you do away with that. So, but that's not going to happen with SGA anytime soon.
That's not. And what we always know is when the MVPs and the superstars of the league, they are going to get extra fouls go their way. Did anybody not remember the late 80s, early 1990s, and all the way through? If you breathed on Michael Jordan, it was a double technical foul. We've all lived through that. Stars are going to get the calls. And yes, some people, SGA's not a star. Stop it. Won a championship last year with OKC. Dude scores 30 night and was the MVP, and it's about to win another MVP award. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt. It's just what happens in the NBA. The topics never stop. It's a Thursday. Getting you ready for your sports day. It's what we do best right here on the SportsGrid Network. We'll be right back.
Nick Kurtz will receive American League first place votes this year. You gonna buy that, George? You want to sell that? I believe we had Caminero, we had Raleigh, we had Aaron Judge,
Bobby Witt. He'll be there as well. I'm a big fan of Kurtz. No, we're not related, by the way, for those who are wondering. Okay, not as far as I know. I keep getting that.
You're a little taller than him.
Right, just a wee bit. Yeah, Nick is a.
Be like this, actually.
I'm not sure Nick would fill in his room. Yeah, that's something like that. But my only problem with him, I think he's gonna have a great year. All right, I think he's gonna have a very good year here. He's gonna be fantastic. I picked 12 in my points league. If he's there at 12, I'm taking him. I'm just grabbing him here. I don't have a second round pick, but I'm taking him anyway. My only issue is this: they're not gonna be very good, right? They may be a little better than expected. Maybe they approach 500, maybe. But it's tough to get MVP votes when you're not winning. All right, you're not in the playoff contention or anything like that. Are you going to be able to beat out an Aaron Judge? I'll buy. I think he's going to have a big season. I think he can get one. I don't think he'll be very, won't be top 3 right there. But I think he can get one. Yes, I'll buy.
Yeah, I'm going to sell this. I was really I understand what the metric said, and a lot of smart people, George, that I asked told me that Judge probably was the MVP. But man, Cal Raleigh couldn't win MVP with that season that he had last year. And I understand all we're doing is asking questions about first place votes, but don't think there's a lot of love for the voters with Sacramento, no matter what Nick Kurtz does. I'm going to sell this.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Money laundering. Usually a white-collar crime, right, Joe? Like, hey, I got this money on the side. Let's wash this through. Let's have some shell companies. Let's keep it over in the Cayman Islands or over in Switzerland, and nobody's going to be able to find out. He said, what are you talking about? What kind of topics does that have to do with the NFL? Front Office Sports with a tweet, Joe. You'll enjoy this. Exclusive, it says. The Tom Brady-led Fanatics Flag Football Classic is likely to move from Saudi Arabia to the U.S. later this month, sources tell Front Office Sports. Scheduled for March 21st in Riyadh, the showcase is looking for a new home as the war escalates in the Middle East. Now, understand this. Why are we having a celebrity flag football game in Saudi Arabia, and what is this even about other than a money grab or a chance to have some sort of Ponzi scheme?
One or the other, Donnie. I mean, let's.
And Tom Brady's involved.
And exactly, but that's what makes it so brilliant, right? Because you put Tom Brady's face and name behind it, Donnie, and who's going to question it, right? I mean, who's going to say like, oh, it's without a doubt a money grab of sorts, but. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, the guy is, once again, all over the place here. He's an owner, he's a broadcaster, he's a flag football, connoisseur now. It's unbelievable. It really is. But you know what? As long as he smiles and he's on the face of it, everything will be fine. It'll make money.
What's the appearance fee? I guess you would get like, hey, I got to fly out to Saudi Arabia and play in a flag football game. It's got to be a lot. 5-star accommodations, probably your own private jet. What, $1 million or $2 million just to show up? Because you're like Saudi Arabia, the way sports goes, like money is not an object here. They told you on Live Golf, like we don't make any money and we hemorrhage. Like we have nonstop, endless funds that we can pay. I mean, Ronaldo was playing down there in front of half-empty stadiums for 6 times the amount of pay that he would make in the EPL. It's crazy how it turns out, but you can't fault some people, man. If that much money's on the table for a nice weekend of lavish luxury, have to run around and just have some fun and get paid millions of dollars, even Tom Brady's going to get caught up in that. And Tom Brady all of a sudden needs money with all the investments that he has. Crazy times at this point right now, Joe. But the one thing we do look forward to, it is the Hall of Fame game. Not because not a single starter will play in that game. It's just good to see a football telecast back on our TV. And now it's official. The Arizona Cardinals are going to take on the Carolina Panthers in the 2026 NFL season in Canton's Hall of Fame game. How about that, Joe? Football on the horizon.
That's great. Won't be Kyler Murray though, but it should be. It should be a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, that's. What is it, Jacoby Brissett? I don't. It still remains to be seen here, but good. I love having that. Just circle the calendar and that date. Donnie, we likely won't see a whole lot of name brands playing in that game, but it'll still be fun to get football back, and we know it's around the corner. It'll be here before we know it.
Like, nobody plays in these games, and some people might say, like, well, what? Well, Carolina stinks. Arizona stinks. Not the point here. Luke Kuechly's going in, as well as Larry Fitzgerald. That's why those two teams were picked here, so you can sort of celebrate as a team with one of the better players in your franchise's history. That's why it's done. Otherwise, it would have, like, the Dallas Cowboys mandatory playing it every year just to use that Dallas Cowboys logo. It's not the way it works here. Mekhi Becton. He was a Super Bowl champion with the Philadelphia Eagles. Played very well. Got a nice payday from the Chargers. Then went to the Chargers, and the Chargers like, yeah, this isn't working out. Our offensive line is horrendous. And even though you might be healthy next year, you were really bad for us, and you're out the door. Started 14 games for L.A. Now he's out.
Yeah, well, let's not forget where he started his career, Donnie, and I think that'll tell you everything you need to know. Yes, there you go. So there is one thing the Jets are known for, and that is not cultivating offensive line talent. So, but kudos to him that he got as much money as he did across the board here, but not a difference maker, to say the least.
It's funny, kicking the can down the road, some of the Cowboys do way too much here, which means, like, why do they make so much money, but they don't have enough room in their salary cap? They're restructuring like 5 guys to get a ton of money to spend even more. I can't wait to see at the end of the rainbow what Dak Prescott's cap hit's going to be when he either retires or is traded or just gets cut from the Dallas Cowboys. But the Cowboys saying, Jerry might not have that many years left. We're pushing our chips in, and we're going to sign some free agents.
Yes, and Jerry is well known to take care of his players after the NFL career is over. So I'm sure he'll have 5 or 6 different caddy dealerships and everything else in and around the Dallas area. He'll be just fine. Dak is not going to be losing any money. I can assure you of that.
By the way, the best negotiation tactics that Jerry Jones has ever used, he's done it on Dak Prescott a lot of times. He goes, do you know how lucrative it is to stay with the Dallas Cowboys your entire career, even if you don't make top of the market? Because once you retire, you are going to be able to have so many opportunities opened up you on the national stage here. And it's no lie. It's no surprise. Look what Troy Aikman's doing. Look how much money, Tony Romo is making at this point. If you're a Cowboys quarterback, you just print money once you retire. By the way, Dak is printing money right now. We'll see who the Dallas Cowboys end up signing. Hour number 2 on deck next. Right here at the early line of the SportsGrid Network. Michigan at a 57% chance right now, followed by Arizona, Duke, and Houston. Here's the interesting caveat, Joe, for Michigan, who's the favorite right now. On February the 8th at 5 a.m., they were trading at 40%. Today, 57%. People like themselves some Michigan here.
Well, Donnie, exactly, because Michigan, it just vaulted themselves to number 1 in the AP poll.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
I have my own account. I don't need to have any. He didn't say any of that. So I'm of the belief that if somebody accuses you of something and you don't deny it, there's a reason you didn't deny it. Because you kind of feel like they got me. And yes, I'm not going to tell you I did it, but I did it. Yeah. Don't you think so?
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, and with the Clippers, Craig, it feels like Kawhi is on the island. We saw him ball out in the All-Star game the other day. Kawhi was very impressive, and he's had a fantastic season. I think when you look at the Clippers, if the Clippers' record was better, but he's still James Harden, you would be talking about Kawhi as an MVP candidate. He's been one of the best players in the league in terms of how he's been playing. He's been fantastic.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2 now officially in the mix right here on the early line. SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside, Joe Ranieri. The way it always is, but hour number 2 is always a lot of fun, Joe, and some changes here. Kevin Walsh will be joining us daily now for his hit as well. As you know, starting at 8:30 Eastern here, Prediction Markets Edge gets underway for a different look on how you can invest your money, Joe. We're always adapting to the times in the SportsGrid Network. Just how we do business, Joe.
Evolve or die, right, Donnie? That's what they say. Yeah. So that's exactly what you got to do in an ever-changing landscape. And yeah, there are a few franchises right now in a couple of different sports that need to evolve. Or Jets. Did I say that out loud? I think I did.
Jets are still profitable. That's the problem. Relegation for the Jets. That might change some things up here. We'll see if that never happens in the NFL. But how about this, Joe? 7-7, some of the hottest topics here, the early lineup, and away we go. I like this topic here. I am always intrigued by this. Here's Scotty Scheffler talking about the Masters dinners. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the first time around when you're hosting the dinner, it's your first time in that room, and you don't really know what to expect. I've no idea what it's going to be like. The only thing I really knew is where I was going to sit. That's basically the only thing I knew. Sitting next to Mr. Crenshaw and the chairman, and so there's a little protocol. Guys kind of have I'd say sections where they sit, but you move around a little bit. There's not necessarily assigned seats, but I'm definitely not going to go sit in the area where Tiger and Jack sit. There's kind of spots where you kind of feel you'll naturally flow into.
Joe, it's like, hey, the hot new steak shop opened up in the city. It's kind of hard to get reservations. Eventually get one here. That has to be the coolest room environment in the history of professional sportswear. You have to win the Masters to get into that room. You are not bringing your wife and your children and your uncles and your grandfathers in here. The boys that won it sit in that room and eat. And also, Joe, my question to you, what meal are you serving, Joe, if you won the Masters?
First of all, that's got to be the stuffiest and snootiest room.
Put me in there, Joe.
It's worse than Mar-a-Lago. Like, no, I want nothing to do with those blowholes. Absolutely
you're taking shots
not.
at Mar-a-Lago.
No. I can't sit here. You have to sit. Like you can. No, absolutely
Don't sit in Jack's
not.
spot, Joe.
No, it's not.
Don't sit in Jack's spot.
And if I'm served, listen, it can't go wrong. Just make it steaks all the way around, Donnie. That's where I would go. Make it the steak dinner, meat and potatoes. Yeah,
meat, potatoes, surf and turf, maybe a little shrimp cocktail before it starts here, a nice little dessert, and you're on your way at this point. We've had some really good, and I like when it starts to come out like, here's what we're serving on this night, because most of the guys do a really good job with the dinner they picked out, where you're not showing up, you're like, vegetarian at this point. Like, no, like, you have unlimited funds that you could use and have whatever you want and flown in. They get the job done at the Masters here. But let's get to some of those early lineup topics, which includes Stephon Diggs. He spent enough money in his career to afford some fine steaks and also seafood. But now, Joe, four teams in 4 years for Stephon Diggs? Not a good look.
No, it's not. And it appears that this was more money related than anything else. I mean, he was a glorified rental last year, and I don't know that anybody thought it was going to, obviously, that they were going to get to the Super Bowl, but he was a big part of that. But at what, $26.5 million cap hit if he's still on the roster, and there's no saying they can't work out a deal, bring him back at a different price, but I doubt that's going to happen. He'll hook up with somebody. I mean, there's a lot of teams. Pittsburgh needs receivers, right? Washington. Yeah. There's a lot of teams that could use his services. Buffalo. It'll be interesting to see where he lands, but at this point, $26.5 million was not in the ballpark for what New England thought he should be worth at this point.
Trent McDuffie's going to want himself some $26 million a year. He's up for a new contract. He was traded from Kansas City, which is an interesting move, which they feel they're in the window. Even a Patrick Mahomes tweet yesterday was basically saying, like, what's going on around here at this point? But he moves on. Good move for Los Angeles. It just feels like they're always aggressive by saying, I will trade my draft picks if I get a quality player back. And they did that here.
Yeah, listen, I think it's a win-win for everybody. I really do. The Rams had an issue in their secondary, right? Last year, they only have a limited amount of snaps left with Stafford if they're going to keep running this thing back, right? So it doesn't shock me that they made this move to go get him, and they had to give up a first-round pick. That's fine. And if I'm the Chiefs, listen, you got to get younger in a lot of spots, right? So, getting that draft pick back, call me crazy. I think it's a win-win situation for everyone involved.
Get ready for Aaron Rodgers. This feels like for 5 straight years, where's he going to play? Does he want to come back and play? And now you're saying his previous coach just signed on as the new head coach of the team that he was playing on here, where he was upset that Mike Tomlin was let go. The Steelers are now saying, like, we expect him back, but Aaron Rodgers is like, hey, look, man, no future announcements just yet. He got married. We don't even know who his wife is. Is he ayahuasca this week? Is he locking himself in a cave where he can't see for days at this point to try to get clarity? Let me understand this clarity, Joe. He's going to be back with the Steelers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to be back in the Steelers. But it doesn't mean that he's not going to create drama along the way, Donnie, because that's what he does. So, yes, he will keep you on a string, dangling that carrot. Eventually, he'll let everyone know, but it's not going to be, I think, for a couple of months. He'll wait till way after the draft before he makes any sort of decision.
Lou Holtz, one of my favorite characters in college football, whether being a head coach at Notre Dame or going to South Carolina or just being in the booth there at ESPN, you always wanted to get that knowledge. It was always a little bit quirky at that point, but he brought Notre Dame back. He passed away at the age of 89. One of the true legends, Joe, of college football.
All-time legends. I mean, it just not a dude that's very big in stature, but my goodness, when he walked into a locker room, man, it was you stand at attention. I thought one of the greatest of all time. Those battles against Jimmy Johnson and the Miami Hurricanes were absolutely legendary. And I thought he was a pretty good commentator, too, though, when he used to do the college football show. I thought he was pretty funny.
Yeah, Reese Davis, Mark May, and Lou Holtz getting after it after college football ended. Look, he was just an icon, a character, name what you will. It's a shame that he passed away here, but we certainly were better for having him around. Look at the NCAA women's tournaments here, the conference tournaments. You want to say things don't matter in college sports? They do. Take a look at South Alabama and Coastal Carolina, a brawl which knocked out the referee. I want to see what these ejections are. There any fines? This is an NIL era, Joe. Any fines going down?
I don't know. I mean, but we've seen this a lot now, right, though? Isn't that what we got pretty much every other day in the WNBA? So, I think that we're good. Like, let them duke it out. And ultimately, Donnie, nobody will know if anybody gets suspended or not because likely nobody's watching the next game anyway.
Here's two things you never want to hear. Superstar young pitcher, elbow MRI, Joe. Don't do it. Don't do it to Hunter Green. Break the MRI machine. Don't do it. Come on.
He had these issues last year too, Donnie. I mean, the dude throws triple digits on a consistent basis. You had to think at some particular point they might have a problem here. And it's unfortunate because the guy was just a absolute strikeout machine. He was automatic in a lot of different spots. So hopefully, knock on wood, nothing long-term crazy, but not a great sign.
Nothing long-term crazy like Kevin Walsh pounding away on his keyboard. That doesn't matter because we're going to talk Rory McIlroy right now in the DP World drama that's going on. Show this.
Geez, in my opinion, it's a really generous deal. Like, it's a much softer deal than what Brooks took to come back and play on the PGA Tour. The European Tour can only do so much to accommodate these guys. So, if you want to play in the Ryder Cup, you have to be a member of the DP World Tour. To be a member of the DP World Tour, you have to abide by the rules and regulations. And the rules and regulations were, okay, if you break the media rights agreement and you go and play in a conflicting event, you don't get a release.
Oh, boy, Joe. The people fighting about millions of dollars out here. Can't we all just get back together? And talking about getting back together, Kevin Walsh, the early line, once again showing up on time. Coming up next, you better stay tuned, people. Michigan at a 57% chance right now, followed by Arizona, Duke, and Houston. Here's the interesting caveat, Joe, for Michigan, who's the favorite right now. On February the 8th at 5 a.m., they were trading at 40%. Today, 57%. People like themselves some Michigan here.
Well, Donnie, exactly, because Michigan, it just vaulted themselves to number one in the AP poll.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
I have my own account. I don't need to have any. He didn't say any of that. So I'm of the belief that if somebody accuses you of something and you don't deny it, there's a reason you didn't deny it. Because you kind of feel like they got me. And yes, I'm not going to tell you I did it, but I did it. Yeah. Don't you think so?
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, and with the Clippers, Craig, it feels like Kawhi is on an island. We saw him ball out in the All-Star game the other day. Kawhi was very impressive, and he's had a fantastic season. I think when you look at the Clippers, if the Clippers' record was better, but he's still at James Harden, you would be talking about Kawhi as an MVP candidate. He's been one of the best players in the league in terms of how he's been playing. He's been fantastic.
Newswire. only on SportsGrid.
Thursday edition of the Early Line Sports Grid Network. And by the way, did you guys know, WBC's here and next week is conference tournament play, but free agency in the NFL is going to begin shortly here. People will be making hundreds of millions of dollars more. Salary cap's going higher, and our salary cap here on the show must be going higher as well. We can afford the good stuff. Donnie right side, Joe Rainier. We bring in Kevin Walsh, host of Game Time Decisions, right here on the Sports Grid Network, 6 to 7 p.m. It's Gabe and it's Kevin getting you ready for the nightcaps here. Come on in, Kev. Come on in.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas? A lot of good stuff happening this morning. I see you guys are covering exclusively only the biggest topics in sports, which is just great to see.
Yep, Kevin's been known to book himself around the channels here, raise that payroll here. Love to see it, Kevin. But we got you here today, and we want to talk the association because we got big doings. And by the way, does it feel like the Spurs just constantly play top-tier teams, including the Detroit Pistons, on a night-to-night basis? The Spurs, they are the favorites at home, -3.5. The Pistons come to town as the underdog tonight. What are the expectations? Pistons, Spurs here, Kevin.
It's a good point, right? San Antonio, and it's not like they're playing the top of the West. Like somehow, every night they're playing just the best Eastern Conference teams. I assume they play the Celtics tomorrow. It's bizarre. This line I saw overnight at 2.5. Now, seemingly at some points it got up to 4.5. Maybe we're going to settle in this 3.5 spot here. I imagine there will be a ton of temptation on San Antonio. They played about 2 weeks ago. The Spurs won by double digits on the road. Cade Cunningham could not get going in that game from an efficiency standpoint there. But this is a Detroit team now coming off a loss. They don't have a ton of losses this year, and very rarely have they lost consecutive games. What stood out to me is this total. It's about 3 or 4 points lower than when they met in that week matchup around 2 weeks ago. If I look at this Pistons team, I think offensively they're due for a better effort here. I like what we saw from Duren in that first matchup. He got himself to about 25. The Spurs should score it no problem, right? I mean, they just hung $130 on Philly in a game where Wembanyama only scored 10.
Yeah.
This total at 228.5. Look, I'm not acting like it's 215, but in today's game, when two teams get rolling, you can get through a number like that. That total's really standing out to me, fellas.
Yeah, the Spurs winning games on the road like it's nothing, too, is just very impressive with what's going on. But you got Detroit, who is now, 4.5 games better than Boston. They've been the East's best team all season long, Kev. Does the Boston Celtics catch them? Do they regress at all, or are we just assuming with 22 games left they're gonna be the number one seed in the East? And ultimately, what does that mean when it's all said and done?
What I think it means is everybody's fighting for second because the Hornets are going to sweep this entire conference. If I'm not right,
yes,
it has to be.
Yes,
like I'm starting to eye up some of these Hornets futures. At this point, I might just tap out. They seem this good. I would be stunned if Detroit lost grip of the 1 seed. And I think for a team like Boston, does anybody care what seed they are? And more so than does Jason Tatum return, right? Isn't that what we're all trying to really figure out with this basketball team? And it applies to the Knicks and Cavs, right? Two teams who have, to varying degrees, disappointed us in recent postseasons. And now you throw Harden into the mix here. Look, I don't mean to downplay seeding because I think the matchups are important. But I think when we're trying to figure out seeding, it's through the lens of matchups. It's maybe a little bit less about home court or, 1 seed must be the best team, 2 seed must be the second best team type of situation. Again, also, in a non-joking way, having to play Orlando or Miami in round 1 versus having to play this Hornets team feels very, very different. So you could be in a situation where you're better off maybe the 3 seed than the 2 seed, for example, guys.
And by the way, if we are taking a look at that Western Conference, Kevin, and we are talking about seeding tonight, the Los Angeles Lakers are going to take on the Denver Nuggets. 5-point favorites for the home team, the Denver Nuggets. You look at the standings right now. Nuggets, 38-24, fifth seed. Los Angeles Lakers, 37-24, the sixth seed. Jockeying for position. What do you expect an elevation tonight between these two?
Yeah, so this total's been climbing, already up about 3 points, if I'm not mistaken, from 238.5 to 241.5 there. I wonder if there's an argument to buy back on this under and that this number's moved a little bit here. We talked yesterday, right, guys, about the Knicks defense looking improved. They didn't get a win. They got a tight cover, but that game was well under the number, right? Only 203 points. For the Lakers, when we think about what's wrong with this basketball team, we often look at the defensive side of the ball. Last 3 games, I understand the opponents, but 101, 104, 101. Have they started to figure out this side of the basketball a little bit? Is that where their focus maybe is a little bit here? It's a big-time number at 241.5. You need a clean ride. Yes, these teams are capable of it, but what if this has, as you bring up the standings, Donnie, what if this has that playoff implication type atmosphere? We know in the NBA postseason, we can trend under.
I don't know what to make. Denver feels like that team that just hurry up and finish the regular season and let's get to the postseason. I mean, apparently they can't win games if Aaron Gordon's not on there. They can't play defense. So trying to sweat out an under is a crazy thing, isn't it, with Denver?
Oh, yeah, it is, right? I mean, yes, so their last game against Utah, I laid 11.5, 12 on the road. I was like, because Denver will score 130. Scored 128. I have no chance to cover because they just could not get any stops against Utah. This Nuggets team is very tough to get a handle on because Jokic is having another I'm not really sure Shea should be priced the way he is, by the way, in the MVP market. Jokic is averaging a 29-point triple-double, leading the league in rebounds and assists. And Shea's not going to play that many more games than Nikola Jokic. But maybe for another discussion. For Denver, Joe, almost the inverse, right? Actually, let the regular season go as long as possible because maybe we'll be healthy when the playoffs begin. Probably not because they haven't been close to healthy at any point this season, but maybe by April, we actually will have some of our guys back.
Rapid fire, Kevin. Is A.J. Brown a member of the Philadelphia Eagles come Sunday night or before free agency? Is he a goner?
No, he's gone, Donnie. You know it. When they start telling you, guys, we don't want to get rid of him, but for a first-round pick, hit our line. Yeah, all right.
They told him Tanner McKee is going to start this year. He loves that fact. Kevin Walsh Game Time Decision. Check him out later tonight. Michigan at a 57% chance right now, followed by Arizona, Duke, and Houston. Here's the interesting caveat, Joe, for Michigan, who's the favorite right now. On February the 8th at 5 a.m., they were trading at 40%. Today, 57%. People like themselves some Michigan here.
Well, Donnie, exactly, because Michigan, it just vaulted themselves to number 1 in the AP poll.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
I have my own account. I don't need to have any. He didn't say any of that. So I'm of the belief that if someone accuses you of something and you don't deny it, there's a reason you didn't deny it. Because you kind of feel like they got me. And yes, I'm not going to tell you I did it, but I did it. Yeah. Don't you think so?
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, and with the Clippers, Craig, it feels like Kawhi is on an island. We saw him ball out in the All-Star game the other day. Kawhi was very impressive, and he's had a fantastic season. I think when you look at the Clippers, if the Clippers record was better, but he's still a James Harden, you would be talking about Kawhi as an MVP candidate. He's been one of the best players in the league in terms of how he's been playing. He's been fantastic.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Hypocrisy in hockey, could it be? What topic we're going to bring up here before we get to our best bets on our Fade the Public poll, Joe? How about this? Connor Bedard will serve as the Blackhawks' alternate captain for the rest of the season here. He's earned it, says their coach, Jeff Blashill. I'm going to ask you that question, how you feel about that, but also another topic that deals with the Blackhawks here, Joe. So what do you think?
Listen, Connor Bedard is the future of the Chicago Black. What is I mean, what are we waiting for here? They've already won more games this season, Donnie, than anybody thought they were even going to come close. It's kind of yes, he's the face of your franchise. He's going to be that for the next decade plus until, of course, he tries to push his way out and says, get me to a team that can actually make it to the Stanley Cup final. So, but yes, I agree with the move there. I just don't know what took so long.
Put that graphic back up real quick with Connor Bedard out there. He's got a Circus Sports patch on his shoulders. Love to support it. Gambling, we like that. But please put that picture back up because I want to explain something to people out here the way like professional sports works at this point because we have the NHL and we have the NFL. Cool. Put the picture up. What are we doing back there? Give me a little Connor Bedard action. Throw it up. You want to throw Joe Ranieri up there? It's fine. Look, they're not. There we go. That jersey, Joe. We were told that you cannot have a Washington Redskins logo on your helmet because it just isn't a great look. Look at that jersey for the Blackhawks. Now, I'm not advocating that they need to change it. But what's the difference between the NHL and the NFL? Nobody pays attention to the NHL and they pay more attention to the NFL? Why the difference?
I have no idea, Donnie. I have no idea. Again, but why? Because I guess maybe the Blackhawks have been around longer. I don't know. I mean, are you grandfathered in at that point, Donnie? I'm not quite sure how that works and how they got away with that. Really don't.
Like the Florida State Seminoles. Like they got Chief Osceola out there blasting the spear that's lit. We're grandfathered in. It's cool. Don't you worry about it. But the Redskins, persona non grata at this point here. Let's get to some Fade the Public poll action right here. Easy peasy on this question today at SportsGrid, Joe. Will Miami of Ohio earn an NCAA tournament bid this year? They deserve it. Trending now at close to 94%. No is around 6% here. Put them in. They earned it. And by the way, Joe, tomorrow, usually a football Friday during football season. Tomorrow is a Miami Friday as they will complete it and go unbeaten in the regular season and force the committee to put them in, Joe. How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, there is no reason to think at this particular point that they're not going to get past Ohio. They are going to get Ohio's best punch, right? But they've gotten everybody's best punch at this particular point, and they have weathered the storm. I think they're going to be up for it, Donnie. This team has showed nothing but moxie all season long. They've tuned it out. They'll win that and go undefeated in the regular season.
Let's go, Miami. Big day tomorrow. We'll certainly cover that and much more. But now it's time to give out those best bets you love. Here's bye. Show them the way, Joe. Not what Florida State did last night. Let's go.
Well, I mean, hopefully you had Florida State on the money line because a wild half-court buzzer three is the only reason Pittsburgh covered that game last night, but I digress. I don't think a buzzer beater is going to beat us here tonight, Donnie, because Michigan, in its second to last game, they've got Michigan State on Sunday, which is always fun. But they are going to be on the road taking on Iowa. And I'm telling you, this is a heavyweight versus a middleweight here. You're talking about a Michigan team that's already beaten the fifth best team in the country, seventh best team, ninth best team, 11th best team, 12th best team. And they've done it by a combined 80 points. And 4 of those games against top 25 teams have been on the road. This is not going to be Iowa football where they're going to punt 19 times and win the game 5-4. Not happening. This is going to be a blowout, double-digit win by Michigan tonight. No worries there. And then Michigan State, that's a different game and a different topic for tomorrow.
And for my next magic trick, we're heading back to the MDA where typically, Joe, I give you bad basketball teams like, ooh, nobody wants going to take them. I'm going to the game of the night tonight in the association, Joe. Pistons Spurs. 70% of the tickets early coming in on the Spurs here. That line opened up 3.5, still sits at 3.5. So for me, I'm taking a good basketball team on the road with the Pistons getting 3.5 points. Win it outright, Pistons. Make it easy for me. But if not, hit that half-court three to cover that 3.5-point spread. We won't hate you for that. So for me, Joe, I'm going Pistons plus 3.5. Joe's going Michigan minus 9.5. And you know what's coming up next? We're not going anywhere. Prediction Markets Edge. Stay tuned. It'll be the best half hour of your life. Could it be? Come on back to find out.